Okay, today we are going to be learning about 6.2D, or we're going to order a set of rational numbers arising from mathematical and real-world context. So let's start with the basics. What do you already know? Well, you've learned how to convert a fraction into a decimal and a decimal to a fraction. Class, how do I turn a fraction into a decimal? We all should know this. Kim. That's right. We are going to do Taiba. We're going to top in, bottom out. Now, if we're taking our top, that is our numerator, we're going to put that inside, and we're going to divide it by our denominator, out. That's going to be outside. We're saying 1 divided by 2. So if I'm doing 1 divided by 2, guys, can 2 go into 1? No, it cannot. So we're going to go ahead and put 0. And what are we going to add? That's right, a decimal. I'm going to add a 0. Now, can 2 go into 10? Yes, it can. Thank you. 2 can go into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. And we have a remainder of 0. So 1/2 is equal to 0 5/10. Now, we just converted a fraction into a decimal. Very simple. Now let's convert a decimal into a fraction, which is also very simple. We say it every time we say decimal. 0 and 25 hundredths. We know to say hundredths because the last digit is 5, and that is in the hundredths place value. So that is 25 hundredths. All you do is say 25 out of 100. And that's the same thing, 25 hundredths. Well, we know we need to simplify. We got 25 hundredths, and we need to find a common factor. What is a common factor of 25 and 100? What can be divided by both of those? John? 5, yes, very good. 5 can be divided by both 25 and 100. Does anybody else have a higher factor, a greater factor that would work? Lexi. Exactly, 25. We could have done 5. We said 25 divided by 5 and 100 divided by 5, but that would not have been in simplest form. So we're going to go ahead and divide both the top and the bottom by 25. That is a 5. And we are going to get 1, and because 25 divided by 25 is 1, and 100 divided by 25 is 4. So the fraction form of 25 hundredths is 25 over 100, or it's 1/4. It's very simple. Let's move on. All right, you also learned to compare rational numbers. Well, we know that if we're going to compare rational numbers, they have to be in the same form. I need 1/2 to either be a decimal or 25 hundredths to be a fraction. I'm going to go ahead and turn that fraction into a decimal because I know that 1/2 is 5/10. But to compare these accurately, I have to say that the place values have to be the same. Well, 25 hundredths is in the hundredths place value, and 5/10 is in the tenths. So all we need to do is make that 0 and 5/10 into 0 and 50 hundredths. Now we can compare. Now which one is greater, which one's less? So we got 50 hundredths and 25 hundredths. Tim, can you tell me which one is greater? Well, great. It's exactly right. That's 50 hundredths. We're going to move on. All right, so now let's order some rational numbers from least to greatest. I've given you a set of rational numbers. They're all fractions. And you notice that they all have different denominators. But automatically, you could see that 2 of them are going to be first and 2 of them are going to be last. You could eliminate some answer choices. I know we don't have any here, but if there were star or test, there would be answer choices. And you could eliminate based on just looking at something. So I want you to look at your partner right now. I want you to discuss what process can be used to know which rational number has the lesser value. Why can you automatically eliminate 2 of them just by looking? I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to discuss. Okay, Jorge, tell me what you and Austin said. All right, that's a great strategy. You looked at your whole numbers. Here we have 36, 32, 36, and 32. Well, if we're looking for the one with the lesser value, because we're ordering from least to greatest, we know that the first 2 are going to be 32 and 3/4 and 32 and 15/16. Now we just got to figure out which one comes first, which one's less. Is it 32 and 3/4, 32 and 15/16? Well, to do that, we have both fractions, so we're not, well, I mean, you could typo them and turn them into decimals. 3 divided by 4 and 15 divided by 16. But they're fractions. To compare fractions, all you have to have is a common denominator. So I know 3/4, we need to change that into a new fraction. And 15/16 we're going to have to change into a new fraction. What do we have to have when we're comparing fractions? Thank you, a common denominator. So how can 4 and 16 be changed into a common denominator? How can we make that the same? Exactly, thank you, everybody. Yes, we could change that 4 into a 16. Do we have to change the 16? No, it's going to stay the same. That's going to be 15 over 16. But that 4, how did we change that into 16? Thank you, we multiplied by 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. What's 3 times 4? 12. Thank you very much. All right, now all we have to do is just compare these. So we got 12/16 and 15/16. Which one has the lesser value? Very good, everybody. Yes, 12/16 has the lesser value. So we know that 32 and 3/4 will be the least number there. So I'm going to put a 1 above it. And we know that 32 and 15/16 will be the second value. Now we just have to figure out 36 and 1/2 and 36 and 7/8. Well, we do this the same way. All we need to do is find the common denominator. So we got 1/2 and we got 7/8. What would be my common denominator here? Why are you telling me it's going to be 8? Give me an explanation, Isaac. Oh, that's exactly right. You're saying 8 because 2 can be turned into 8 by multiplying by 4. And then 8 would stay the same, so 7/8 would be over here. And then 2 times 4 is 8, so 1 times 4 is 4. Good job. Is 4 half of 8? Yes, it is. So we know that 1/2 and 4/8 are equivalent. Now we just have to figure out which one has the lesser value. So 4/8 over 7/8, which one has the lesser value? Oh, good job, class. 4/8 is less than 7/8. Exactly right. So 36.5 would be the third number, and 36 and 7/8 would be the greatest number. So let's list them out. I'm going to do this in green. I have 32 and 3/4. I have 32 and 15 over 16. I have 36 and 1/2. And I have 36 and 7/8. Very good job, class. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so now what? Now you need to learn to order a set of rational numbers from real-world situations, or word problems, basically. This is going to be a think, pair, share activity. You all know what that means. I need you to get with your elbow partners. Yes, you may have a group of 3, that's fine. And I want you to be prepared to explain your answers to the class, as I will be randomly choosing students to present. I have my popsicle sticks ready to go. All right, now look at your handout on example 1. During a track meet, the following times and seconds were recorded for a 100-meter race. Which list shows the times in order from fastest to slowest? Now you got 1 minute to solve this on your own. You're going to think about how you would do it. Think about what you need to do. Fastest to slowest, is that least to greatest or greatest to least? I'm going to give you 1 minute starting now. When that 1 minute is over, you will then share with your elbow partner. And yes, it's okay for y'all over there to have a group of 3. Go ahead and start. 1 minute later. All right, now I want you to take your work, the work you showed, and share it with your partner. Compare answers. Compare how you got those answers. I want you to discuss this. One minute later. All right, great job. I'm going to get my popsicle stick can out. And Alexis, welcome. I want you to go ahead and stand up and talk to me. How did you solve this? Very good, very good. So you took your 4 different times and you put them from least to greatest. Why is this least to greatest? That's exactly right, because your fastest time is going to be your shortest time, right? Your least amount of time. So you know you're going from least to greatest. Then, what are some strategies you and your partner used to eliminate some of your answers? You took out A and C. Why is that? Because 15 and 3/10 is greater than 13 and 9/10, correct? Good job. So you know your answer is either B or D. So you know that 13 and 9/10 is the smallest number there. What about 14 and 14 and 8/10? Yes, you chose the answer B, because 14 and 0/10 is less than 14 and 8/10. Please make sure the rest of the answer is correct. So then we got 14 and 2/10, 14 and 8/10, and then 15 and 3/10. Those are all shown from least to greatest, so very good. Y'all's answer is correct. On example 2 of your handout, every year from 2010 to 2013, the low temperature in Juneau, Alaska was recorded for April 1st. I want you to look at these temperatures. You have in 2010, the temperature was -1 and 29/100. 2011, it was -1 and 11/100. 2012, it was 1 and 26/100. And in 2013, it was 1 and 195 thousandths degrees Celsius. So this question is asking you to list the temperatures from warmest to coldest. All right, with your elbow partners, I want you to think, pair, and share. I'm going to give you about 1 minute to think about this and solve it yourself. Then I want you to share with your partner for 1 minute. Two minutes later. All right, let's see. Let me get my popsicle sticks out. Timothy, list the temperatures from warmest to coldest. Let me know what you and your partner did. All right, you and your partner decided to do for warmest. Did you say least to greatest or greatest to least? You said greatest to least. Why is that? Yeah, because it's a higher temperature, it's going to be warm. The colder the temperature, the least amount of temperature there is. Very good. So, greatest to least. All right, so now let's look at them. We're greatest. Well, you know from your number line that you should always do when there's negatives involved. Your positives are greater than your negatives, correct? Of course, we all know that. So what are my two positives? Yeah, 2012 and 2013. 1 in 26 hundredths degrees Celsius and 1 in 195 thousandths degrees Celsius. Well, which one's greater? I always like to put them on top of each other. Now I see that my 1 in 26 hundredths is missing a place value. To compare, I need to have them both the same place value. So 1 in 260 thousandths and 1 in 195 thousandths. Which one is greater? Good job. Good job. 1 in 260 thousandths is greater. And since I'm going from greatest to least, I know that that should be first. And then second, we know, since it's the only other positive there, 2013. Good job. Thank you. Go ahead and sit down. All right. Kyla, let's talk about my negatives. We're going from greatest to least. So they're already in the same place value. I could just go ahead and look at them. Let me do this in blue. I got negative 1 in 29 hundredths, and I got negative 1 in 11 hundredths. So tell me what about negatives that we must remember when we're doing this. Kyla? That's right. The closer it is to 0, the greater the value. So which one's closer to 0? Would it be negative 1 in 29 hundredths? No, it wouldn't. That would be further away from 0, wouldn't it? So we're going to say that negative 1 in 11 hundredths degrees Celsius would be my number 3, and negative 1 in 29 hundredths would be 4. So we're going to go ahead and list these out. So if I'm putting from warmest to coldest, the warmest would be 1 in 26 hundredths degrees Celsius, then 1 in 195 thousandths degrees Celsius, then negative 1 and 11 hundredths degrees Celsius, then negative 1 and 29 hundredths degrees Celsius. Good job, guys. Example number 3. This is going to be the last one before you're going to take your own Schoology assessment. Alright, so Mr. Campbell's shop class cut pieces of wood for a project. The table shows the length of wood cut by students. Now these are all fractions. We got 3, Jeremy did 3 1/4 of length of wood in inches. Shayla did 2 7/8. Melanie did 3 5/6. Ryan did 4 2/3. Chad did 3 1/2. Now it says, which list shows the students' length of wood in order from shortest to longest? So shortest to longest, is that greatest to least or least to greatest? Very good, that's least to greatest. We know that. So just by looking, I want you to think, then I want you to pair, and then we're going to share. I'm going to give you about a minute just to think about who has the shortest length. All right, just answering that one question. Who has the shortest length? Elizabeth. Who has the shortest length? You say Shayla. Why do you say that? Because it's the only length with a whole number of 2. Good job. Now 2 is the shortest whole number there, and that's Shayla. So which answer choices can we automatically eliminate? B and C, good job. We're going to take B and C out. We know that we're going from shortest to longest. Shayla has the shortest, and the only 2 answers that start with Shayla are A and C. Now we need to figure out the 3's. Well, we got 3 1/4, 3 5/6, and 3 1/2. We have to figure out which one's the next shortest length. Let's see. How do we find out? I want you to think, I want you to pair, I want you to share. Which one's shorter? Jeremy, Melanie, or Chad? All right, Kamari. How would I take 3 1/4, 3 5/6, and 3 1/2 and compare them? Yes, you could turn them all into decimals very easily. How do I turn a fraction into a decimal? You Taebo them. Very good. Is there anybody else who has an alternate solution? Isaac. You could find a common denominator. Very good. Now both of these are very simple. You know how to do this. You know that if you were to divide 1 divided by 4, you would get 3 25 hundredths. But, and you know 3 1/2 is 3 5/10. It's very simple. Then you could just Taebo 5/6 and get your answer. But you could also say, what is my common denominator? Now what's a common multiple of 4, 6, and 2? Anybody? 12? Good job. How do you know that it's 12? Because you could turn each denominator into 12 on all of them. Very good. So let's create our new fraction with 12. as our denominator. Well, how did 4 become 12? Times 3, good job. And if I did it on the bottom, yes, I do it on top. 1 times 3 is 3, good job. 6 times what equals 12? Times 2. And if I did it on bottom, very good, you do it on top. What's 5 times 2? 10. And 2 times 6 equals 12, so 1 times 6 equals 6. So I've got 3 twelfths, 10 twelfths, and 6 twelfths. And I'm going from shortest to longest. Which one's shortest here? Very good, 3 twelfths. So I know that Jeremy should be next. Yes, C says Jeremy is next. Well, is Chad after Jeremy? Yes, it is, because 6 twelfths is shorter than 10 twelfths. Then Melanie, very good, Melanie's next. And then we know Ryan was the greatest length anyway, because he's the only one with a whole number of 4. So my answer would be C. Good job, everybody. Now, I want you right now to work on your check for understanding. It's on the back of your handout. You're going to work this problem and then answer the question in Schoology. Once you answer the question in Schoology at your group, right now at your station, you will start. You in the back you're at technology, over to the side you're at collaborative, and in the front you're at independent. I will be calling y'all for small group as y'all complete your rotations. You have 5 minutes to complete the check for understanding and put your answer into Schoology. If you need any help, let me know. Okay, so my check for understanding is a Schoology assessment. I would see instant feedback once they do this problem. Now, in this problem, they just have to put the rational numbers from least to greatest. And in Schoology, I would have basically an answer document, and I could see who gets it right and who gets it wrong as soon as they put their answer in, and submit it. Now, I would use this data to pull my small groups. Once they finish this, they're automatically going to go into their rotations. And for an example, right after a check for understanding, this is when I move on to practice time. Now, the practice time is where I usually move into stations and pull small groups, or I just work as a whole group and work with the whole class. We use activities from Eduphoria and Engaging Math, usually, but there's others I could use, like Motivation Math or the book even. Okay, for your exit ticket, I would like you to work this problem on the handout I gave you. I want you to read through it and make sure you do it correctly. When you are done, you are to complete this sentence stem, which is also on that same handout. This is your exit ticket out of the door, and I will need to have it in my hand before you leave class. Everybody should complete all parts of it. The sentence stem. I know my answer is correct because I ordered my rational numbers from blank to blank and made sure to. Now, the way you order your rational numbers should be from least to greatest or greatest to least, correct? Whatever this problem is asking you to, that's what should go in there. And you made sure to. What did you make sure to do? What did you have to do to complete this problem? That's what I want you to put in there, and I want you to have a good day.